With the release of Jurassic World Dominion, I figured it would be the perfect time to stop and rank all 6 movies in the Jurassic Park franchise. That includes the Jurassic Park movies and the Jurassic World movies, of course. Let's get started. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ben, and on this channel I love to talk about movies and TV, and if you also love to talk about movies and TV, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Before we get started, make sure to let me know down below in the comments section what is your ranking of all 6 movies in this franchise. I'd love to see your rankings down below, and let's get started. Coming in easily in last place is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Now, yikes, I feel like this is widely regarded as the worst movie in the franchise. For me, when you go from Jurassic World, which is a movie that we'll talk about higher up on this list, to this, there's a big change in tone, and I don't feel like this one is as much fun as Jurassic World. It takes itself way too seriously for its own good. I will say it's not a complete and utter failure. The movie is set up in the first act to be fine, and definitely the big standout scene is the scene with the dinosaurs dying on the island as it's burning. That's some tragic stuff. That scene, as much as I dislike this movie, was very well done. And there are some intense sequences which I'm going to be talking about in pretty much all these movies, but they're few and far between. For me, this movie is just uninteresting and boring. When you get to the end of the movie, I found myself pretty much just tuning out of it. I probably stopped paying attention about halfway through. Even when I saw this movie for the first time in theaters, I found myself to be bored, and I've been hesitant to go back and rewatch it up until this viewing. I don't feel like the comedy works all too well. You had a couple of new characters too, and Justice Smith's character just comes off as so annoying. He's actually better in Dominion, I'll say that. But all the funny jokes that they try to set up with his character just fall flat. And why does this movie turn into like a straight up auction by the end of it? They're just like selling off dinosaurs, and it's just boring stuff that you don't want to see in a Jurassic Park movie. It's a genuinely head-scratching decision, like that's where you want to take the movie. A lot of this movie just feels like setup for Dominion, and overall it's a big disappointment. It's definitely going to be a hot take, but coming in just above Fallen Kingdom is The Lost World Jurassic Park. For me, the reason why it's so low on my list is because the magic that was in that first Jurassic Park movie just feels lost. Which is very interesting because Steven Spielberg, he came back to direct this one. Spielberg's still working behind the camera, but he still just doesn't bring much to this movie, I felt. Also, the new characters, and even Ian Malcolm, who was in the first movie obviously, Jeff Goldblum returned. Every single character in this movie is boring. They all feel hollow, and even Ian Malcolm's family drama is uninteresting. He was one of the best characters in the first movie, but in here, again, another piece of the magic that felt lost. Something that I do want to mention, and in all these Jurassic Park movies, the animatronics, just seeing those are so special. It's something that you rarely see in 2022, unfortunately, but it is pretty expensive to do it. Back in the 90s, before they relied heavily on CGI and visual effects, you had animatronics, and man, it must have been so crazy being on set with those. There are some intense sequences in this movie, but a big issue I have is the pacing in this movie is rough. There are just too many scenes that feel dragged out and unnecessarily long. Speaking of unnecessarily long, this movie is overly long. It does not need to be over 2 hours. And very similar to Fallen Kingdom, where it felt like they kind of mixed 2 movies together, and here they tack on a whole third act after the movie is pretty much over. It's like they forgot to do a third act, so then they decided to bring the dinosaurs to the mainland, and it's almost like Steven Spielberg was wanting to do another movie, but he didn't want to do it without him being in the director's chair, because he didn't want to come back for the next movie. So the dinosaur gets shipped to the US, most of our main characters just get put away, we don't see Vince Vaughn anymore. It's just a weird kind of third act, again, that just feels tacked on. The movie was over before that was introduced, it's unnecessary. So when you have a Jurassic Park movie that is overly long, fairly boring, and just disappointing, that's a bad sign, and that's why it comes so low for my list. In 4th place is Jurassic Park 3. Now, after I finished this movie, I kind of entitled it as like a new guilty pleasure, because when comparing this to the original Jurassic Park, it's like comparing apples to oranges. Like, it feels like a very different movie, and part of that might be because of the new director, but it's a dumb, fun adventure in the end. It's a fast-paced movie, only an hour and a half. It's a great runtime. Because it's a Jurassic World movie, it's gonna have those fun sequences that are intense, especially at the end with the rain coming down and it's all in water. It's an enjoyable movie to watch once you get to the end of it. As for issues with the movie, it felt to me like everyone was pretty stupid, except for Alan Grant and the kid. There definitely could have been more fleshing out of the characters and their relationships with one another. especially the two parents and their kid that they're looking for. And the writing is pretty poor, the dialogue, the characters like I mentioned, and even the setup for the movie. Once I stopped looking for flaws in it, I found myself not hating it. There are plenty of moments that are illogical, don't make sense, and again, it's a dumb movie. But because it's so quick and it's a movie you can turn your brain off to, that's why I found enjoyment in it. So I would say it's a fun adventure and better than The Lost World. But can we talk about why the there was that scene with the talking dinosaur to Grant? I mean, yes, it's a dream sequence, Alan. But it meant literally nothing in the end. Usually when you have moments like that, there's gonna be some payoff for it, and here it just feels like it's just put in the movie for no apparent reason. But actually coming in above Jurassic Park 3 is the newly released Jurassic World Dominion. Now if you want to hear my full thoughts on the movie, spoiler free, I'll leave a link right up above. But as for my quick thoughts on it, as much hate as it has been getting, I found enjoyment in it still. It's a messy movie, it's bloated, and it's disposable. It may not be a movie that will stick with you for a while like the OG Jurassic Park. But when it comes to being an enjoyable blockbuster, I feel like it succeeds. All of the characters, old and new, work very well together. The visual effects are pretty incredible, and for being the end to this giant franchise, supposed end at least, I feel like it was solid. And look, I had fun with it, but I can still acknowledge the problems it has. Coming in second place is the first Jurassic World. Now the legendary Sean Chandler labels this movie as the essential kind of Taco Bell movie. When you think of Taco Bell as a meal, is it good for you necessarily? No. And this works for any fast food restaurant really. But is it something that you want to watch or eat? Yes. And Jurassic World is stupid fun. I put it in the category of a blockbuster that I thoroughly enjoy, but it's not exactly the best movie. Cheesy and schlocky. It's such an easy movie to put on and just turn your brain off and enjoy. The concept alone of where you can go to an amusement park and be with dinosaurs, that's so cool. Obviously setting up things to go wrong. When it comes to the new characters here, you have Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard as our two leads. I think they're pretty great in the leads, which might be a hot take, I know. But I'm not the biggest fan of the rushed love story between them that kind of spans over the 3 movies. It's very rushed. There's not too much connection between them either, there's no real chemistry, but individually their performances are good. And I didn't think the kids were too bad either, they weren't annoying luckily. I feel like you'll often have too many annoying kids in big blockbusters, but these kids weren't too annoying. And there's a really solid brotherly bond that is built between them too that you can feel for. Yeah, the movie drags a bit, sure. And everything with Vincent D'Onofrio's character feels fairly unnecessary. I could have personally done totally without it. I don't care what everyone else really says, I have a blast with this movie. But coming in first place, to no one's surprise really, is the 1993 classic Jurassic Park. This is a movie that I don't know how it could have been topped. It's arguably in the top 50 greatest movies of all time, probably top 25. The concept alone is so cool, and I know it's based off a book. I haven't read the book personally, and I do think this is a perfect movie. But a couple reasons why it is so good. One, the score is iconic and one of the best ever. That theme will just give you chills. Visual effects, while dated, were obviously very impressive for the time. The dialogue is terrific as well as the writing. It's equally funny as it is thrilling. It's a captivating movie, really. Spielberg's direction is just incredible. And I think, in my opinion, the best character is Alan Grant. He's at least my favorite, and I feel like he has the best arc. Well, it's a fairly little arc. It is set up very early on, his opinion on kids, he doesn't like them. But then as he has to be with them more and more throughout the movie, he gets trapped with them. They slowly grow on him, and he becomes kind of like a father figure. And I wish that arc would have paid off in other movies too. But when it comes down to it, like I said, it's one of the best movies of all time. Because it was so good, it was going to be hard to top. And here it is, still at first place. But guys, that is it for my ranking of all 6 Jurassic Park and Jurassic World movies. But again, make sure to let me know down below in the comments what is your ranking of all 6 movies. And thank you so much for watching this video, and if you did enjoy it, consider giving it a like as well as subscribing and hitting that notification bell to get notified whenever new videos like this go live. As always, look forward to more videos coming soon. My name is Ben, people call me Meter, and I'll see you guys in the next one.